Hi everyone. I wanted to give you a little video update this week instead of having you read more text-based stuff because I think that if you're like me, you're probably almost cross-eyed by this point in the semester. So I wanted to just give you a little personal encouragement and tell you that I realize that this is kind of like where you're running a marathon. And this, I'm speaking figuratively, not literally, because I've never run that long anywhere in my entire life. But I know it's kind of like you're halfway through the marathon and you think, how am I going to finish this? How am I going to keep the energy up and keep the momentum up to keep this going? I know several of you are facing some challenges right now in your personal and or professional life, maybe with some other classes that you're taking. So I want you to know that I understand and I've been there and I fully support you and I really want you to be successful in the class. So if you need to have a conversation with me about something and you haven't reached out yet, or you haven't let me know if something is going on with you, please know that I'm open to that and I'm open to talking with you about what I can do to help you be successful. So I also want to make sure that you're really understanding the material. And I've had several conversations with many of you, either through Skype or just over the phone, where we've talked about the readings and you've asked questions about clarifying your understanding of certain points, or you've asked questions about your group project. And then there's others of you that I haven't really had a lot of contact with. So I wanted again to just personally extend the invitation that if you want to chat, if you have questions about the readings, if you feel like you need some one-on-one help in really understanding some of the things that you're reading, please reach out and let me know because I'm more than happy to do that for you. So I got through grading all of your discussion board for last week for all of you who posted. And I put some comments in the grading section for you. Most of you are doing a really great job and you're continuing to really make those connections between the readings and the other material. I thought this was a fascinating discussion board this past week. I know I didn't post a whole lot, but I want you to know I was definitely every single day paying attention to what everybody was posting. I think Felix and Clint did a great job with moderating the discussion and with coming up with the ideas. So I think they were a good team. I definitely liked some of the sort of offshoot conversations that you had on discussion board this week. One of the things I thought was interesting is, some of the criticism, of the video. Some people really love the video, and some people, particularly one, made some comments that made me sort of grin because um, just because somebody puts a TED talk on there, and just because there's somebody who is even from Harvard University that's talking about 5 stages of tribal leadership, doesn't necessarily mean that it's good scholarship, doesn't necessarily mean that it's well presented, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it has great connection with some of the things that we're studying, and it can be a stretch sometimes. And so and that's what I wanted you to do. When Clint and I originally talked about using that TED video, we wanted you to kind of make a stretch between taking a look at what some people view as more of an airport view of leadership literature, if you will, which I think is maybe not being as kind to Logan as he probably deserves. But there's that, and then there's theories that are much more grounded in empirical research and in um, meeting the criteria that we talked about in the first module about what is theory. And so there's this wide continuum of literature, there's this wide continuum of material that's out there, and asking you to kind of dig for what some of those connections may or may not be, or do some of that comparison contrast is really what I'm looking for. And I'm hoping that you do feel good about um, making some criticisms, making some constructive criticism about whether or not there even are connections or whether or not it really necessarily applies. Some of you also had some really good conversation about what makes a good leader, and we'll hopefully continue some of these as we go through. As we start Module 7, we're going to continue on this track of perception-based perspectives, but now we're going to turn to our view to followership. And the whole idea of followership as a subset of field of leadership, and in terms of taking the attention off of the leader and making it less leader-centric and more follower-centric is a relatively new idea in the field. And one of the pioneers of that idea, or at least one of the people who's been most vocal in promoting that idea, is Barbara Kellerman. And so you will see a video, and you don't have to watch the whole thing. I think it's about an hour-long video, but I think probably a good 30 to 35 minutes into it, you will have gotten the gist of what it is. It's a little bit time specific. I mean, this was a few years ago that she wrote this book, but it was kind of the first really popular book that was out there that said, hey, wait a minute, we really need to be paying attention to followers and followership and not just leaders and leadership. So I wanted to expose you to that a little bit, and that's why I added that to the materials for this week. And then you'll also see in the module discussant that there's a question related to that video. Barbara Kellerman has since written 2 other books that continue this idea that we need to really pay equal measure of attention to the leader, the follower, and the context of the situation. She calls it a triad and says that all 3 of those things need to take equal importance. So we'll see what you think about that and what you think about the other implicit leadership or implicit followership theories, I'm sorry. And there's also some stuff on self-fulfilling prophecy and the Pygmalion effect. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of the things that you have to say about that on discussion board as well. Let's see, what else do we have? I hope you're moving along in your groups. Again, you know, I'm here, and if you have any questions or if you need any clarification, let me know. I've been heavily involved with a couple of the groups, less so with the others. That's okay with me. I'm here as you need me. So also, I wanted to let you know that there hopefully will be a little bit of an opportunity for you to breathe, or at least catch a little bit of a breath. In week 9, we really don't have anything, we don't have a lot to cover in week 9 or module 9 in terms of the discussion board. So that should free up some time for you to finish up the work on the group project. That was the idea there. So if you hadn't looked ahead yet to the calendar and didn't know that, maybe you can breathe at least a little bit of a sigh of relief right now. So anyway, I hope you have a great week, and I hope to hear from you soon. Take care.